Hey y'all, and welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to be looking at a chess game that I played recently, which ended up becoming a very nice comeback game after I blundered a tactic in the early stages of the middle game. Either way, we're going to get into it. My opponent starts off the game with d4. I go knight to f6, c4, e6, knight to f3, declining a Nimzo Indian. Of course, Nimzo Indian would be knight to c3 and bishop to b4, something I enjoy playing very frequently. Instead, knight to f3 is what he decides to play, and I decided to quickly go with the move d5 in lieu of a point like, okay, well, if you're putting knight there, not knight c3, I basically have to play normal. I can play bishop to b4 and try to force something like that, but I'd rather not do that because there's all these bishop d2 or even knight bd2, a6, a3. I'm not really too fond about these positions, so instead, d5. My opponent goes with g3, entering a Catalan structure, and I could go with the move d takes on c4 here, something that I played before, but of course the point of this opening is that he wants bishop g2 and have active pressure on my queen side here after my d5 pawn has moved, and he's going to win this pawn back eventually. There's really not much going to happen. Like, he's at least going to play a4, stop me from saving the pawn, and he's going to be fine. In any case, that doesn't happen. I decided to go with c6, which is a Slav defense. Bishop to g2, bishop to g6, castles, queen to c2, and knight b8 to d7 is the move chosen. Of course, the knight has to get out this way. I can't really wait for him to take and let my knight get out to c6 because that's just way too long. And the main idea of this position for black is that black has to play e5. To try and open up this light squared bishop, because if black doesn't do that, then black will be in a load of trouble, and white is going to be trying to play the move e4 and get some extra advantages, get some extra space in the center, and it's interesting. There's a lot of really interesting ideas here, ones that I'm very much not the most involved with, just because I'm not that good at chess. But in either case, my opponent goes knight to b2, knight bd2. And you might be thinking, okay, well, you can play e5 here. I can. This is a move. I can play e5. And after he takes, I take back with the knight. He takes back with the knight. I take back with the bishop. He probably takes on d5. I don't know. I can take on d5 with the pawn or the knight. I'd rather take with the knight. The pawn is technically better, but I would rather do this. This is what I'd probably play. And, yeah, I don't know. This position is interesting. This is possible. But if we're looking at this objectively, the reason why I don't want to go for this immediately is now there's no real tension in the center. There's ideas for both sides here. For example, now white is going to be trying to get some rooks into the center of the board. If I can try ours here and here, or maybe here and here. In any case, it's kind of an interesting position. It's just not what I really like going for. I like to go with more of a complex center thing going with pawns, so I decide not to do this, and I play the top engine move, which is the move rook to e8, preparing e5 once again, because this time I want my rook to already be in the center. It's pretty much the same line, but now I get an extra support, and this is just how I play chess, and my opponent goes e4. And now we have the first little bit of time where both of us have to think. e4 on the board, kind of explosive. There's a lot of complications that I have to go for. I have to take the pawn, first of all. That's easy. I have to take the pawn. Taking with the knight is probably fine. It's going to enter the same line. The issue is, of course, he's threatening this, so I have to take. Either play this or I take, right? So I take with the pawn. But this is actually wrong, and I realized this almost immediately because I gave him another option to play with. What I should have done, I should have taken with the knight. And the point is, after knight takes e4, d takes e4, queen takes e4, this is kind of the position that I want to get in moves like knight f6. I get e5 immediately, right? I'm trying to open up the center with this queen on the other side here. This is exactly what black wants in the position, right? And I'm also, of course, getting my light squared bishop out. There's never things like this because of simply knight f6 hitting the queen, h6 on the way. Black would just be better. And this position is honestly after e5, this is probably almost slightly better for black, right? This is almost slightly better. It's almost slightly better. It's equal, but it's equal on an engine standpoint. It feels pretty decent for me. But the reason why what I did is wrong. After he takes e4, you might think, well, this is the same line. He takes, I take, he takes, and then I play e5, and it's the same position, right? It's the same position. No, because I give him a second option, which I realized immediately, and I don't know, I autopiloted the wrong move. Knight to g5. And I am not doing too well. Not doing too well. And now my opponent has a better idea. Of course, I cannot defend the pawn. He has 4 pieces looking after it. I can't even attack it with another piece. If I play e5 right away, if I play this move e5, he probably just takes the pawn, right? He's attacking my bishop. I take. He's attacking my bishop still. Bishop to c7. And then, I don't know, he takes, I recapture, he's able to get the rook to the d file immediately. This does not seem what I want. Also, this pawn on c4 actually helps him a lot because my knight is a little bit hindered when it gets to the d5 square. And I realize this, and I actually think of the best move. The best move here is bishop to c7 first, trying to say that, okay, well, now you don't have a tempo when you do that move. Now you don't have a tempo when you do that move, which would be very nice. The point is, okay, well, now I can do whatever after you take, right? I'm probably gonna play queen e7. I don't have to play e5 now and really go for it, you know. And that's what I should have done. I should have done that. I don't really know why I didn't, but I decided instead that okay. Also, there is an idea of e3, but after f takes e3, I feel like this actually helps him more than me because his rook opens up and now he has this kind of big center here, and he's gonna play this anyway, right? So I don't know. I didn't really like e3. In any case, I played the move h6 after some thought. Basically, just saying, again, I don't want any of this like weird complications of like you not having to like take immediately. I don't want to calculate all that. I'm sure h6 is fine. I kind of evaluated the position as fine, even if I have to play bishop to c7, so I wasn't too scared of it. And I really just didn't want any terrible issues going. I just didn't want anything bad to happen. So my opponent takes. I decide to take on e4. I think this is probably pretty decent. I could have played bishop to c7 or bishop to f8 first. Probably bishop to f8 is the better move. And gone with something like this, but I don't know. I thought this is probably fine. So knight takes e4, knight takes e4, and I go bishop to c7. Trying to still prepare this move e5 in the future. And after a move like f4, I don't know. This is probably not the best. I guess this is the best. But like I feel like, I don't know, knight f6, right? I put pressure towards the center. Taking here, queen takes. Now this pawn is a bit of a weakness, right? I'm going to get rook here, here, and I'm going to probably get some interesting play with some pressure on my opponent's king, right? So I didn't think f4 was the best move. I thought it was a little weakening. I guess it is the best move. Doesn't matter. Rook d1 here would have been very strong too. Not something I really saw. c5 here is also a very nice move, trying to prevent me from playing c5. Instead of all that, my opponent decides to go with a different style of play and decides to play the move b3 after like a long think, a minute think. And yeah, b3 is interesting. b3 is interesting. This turns the game into something that it really wasn't looked at before, because now his point is that he wants this, or now his point is that he wants this, or he wants this move. Right, he's trying to get his Darksword bishop out. He thinks that his bishop doesn't really do anything over on these squares, right? Doesn't think he do anything here. It's logical. It's a logical move, b3, but I wasn't too sure. I didn't think it was fast enough at the time, and I thought it just quickly allowed me to play the move e5 without too much thought, because of course I'm up a minute and a half, right? I should be putting some pressure on the clock at this point. And I kind of like the look of e5. Like, if I really wanted to prepare it, I could play like queen e7, but this just seems like too much, right? So I thought, okay, this is the last point I have to play e5, because if I don't play e5 now, he's going to play this, and now he's going to actually get some pressure. This b3 move is going to make sense. I don't want that to make sense. So I played e5. Very, very quickly. I played e5. And it's the best move. And the point is, taking here, I didn't really know which way to take. I thought that either bishop takes or knight takes works. I was a little bit interested in bishop takes, actually. The point is that, like, let's say bishop takes e5. Point is, okay, I'm attacking the rook. He probably has to play bishop to b2. I was going to take, queen takes, and I was going to play like queen e7 or something, which is not like correct, but I mean, I could probably find knight f6. It's not the hardest thing in the world, just trading everything into this endgame. And in all honesty here, black is almost like better. It's difficult to evaluate this position. Black is almost better, even though they have these isolated pawns here, because black is able to get that king active a lot quicker than my opponent's king. And since it's endgame, gotta get the king active, right? My bishop has better scope. This bishop's kind of blunted, and it cannot get on this diagonal. And my pieces are just kind of better placed, right? I already control the file, like rook fe1. I'm gonna play bishop e6 or bishop f5. Probably bishop f5 is better. And yeah, rook takes e8, rook takes e8. Let's say rook d1. I don't know. I'm already better, right? Rook e2. Yeah, like it's kind of crazy, this position, that you can just do this with the pawns, but it makes sense, and it's not the hardest thing to see. I feel like I would find it in a game, maybe not in this game, but I feel like I could probably be able to find this move. It's not the hardest thing in the world, is my point. In any case, he decides not to take on e5, and he decides to play a move that I had already pre-moved and I already thought of an idea about. He plays the move that was probably correct. He plays d5. And the point of this move is that he's arguing that my bishop is not going to get active anymore. That's the point. Of course I have to take. I pre-move this. I have to take. If I don't take, I'm just going to be worse. Do I have to take? No, actually, f5. Oh, that's really smart. Oh, right, because like after kicking out the knight, let's say knight c3, I guess. Oh, there's e4, and I just like really blunt him. What about f3? Not knight f6? No, e takes f3 is good. After rook takes f3, now knight f6, and the pawn is defended. And after something like bishop to h3, now c takes on d5, and I'm winning the pawn. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of expert. And after this, like maybe he has this move, but there's rook e1. Okay, yeah, that's great. I didn't really see e4. I think e4 is a bit tricky to spot because f3 seems very natural, and it looks like I'm just losing like my pawn there. But whatever. I'm not gonna argue with the computer. Computer's right. Computer's always right. E4 would have been really smart. I did not see this idea of f5, e4. I saw f5, of course, just like kicking out the knight. You gotta check all these attacks. But I didn't really think it did too much. I thought it was like interesting. Like I thought maybe f5, knight f6, but I just thought this was just losing. So I didn't do that. And if I played here, this is a check. Right? So it's pretty easy to like say that this is wrong, but I guess it's... I didn't see e4. I did not see e4. Anyway. C takes on d5 play. C takes on d5. And my idea was very simple. I was going to play knight to b6. You can't make the pawn go. And yeah, I'm not really threatening to win the pawn because you always have these ideas of pinning the knight to the queen. So you're going to do something kind of crazy. And I was like, okay, my position is not the worst. I'm going to play bishop to f5. I'm going to play bishop to d6. I'm going to get the rook to the c file. And it's going to be fine. I'm going to be fine. But what I didn't understand here... and what actually makes my position not fine, makes my position pretty bad, is the issue that these pawns on the queen side are actually really, really weak. And that's hard to see. That's hard to really visualize. But yeah, these pawns are just awful, actually. My opponent's going to get some really nice play with moves like bishop here, going after the pawn. My rook is going to have some problems. This bishop is still pointing down. Another point of this was that I'm blunting this pawn, so then he can't really do anything with that bishop. But it's still going to be dangerous because he's going to get some play. Like, he's going to have some play on these pawns. Like mark my words, he's going to have some play on these pawns. And later in the game, I get a little bit too attached to them. And, yeah, some bad things happen. Anyway. Rook to d1, play it on the board. I decided to go with the move bishop to f5 because I didn't think d6 worked. I calculated here, by the way, I was a little bit worried about d6 immediately, but after bishop d6, rook d1, I just evaluated queen c7 as better for me, right? Queen c7, bishop c7. I thought I was just doing better here. I'm not. White has full compensation somehow. I don't even, actually, I don't even understand. Normally I understand, I don't even understand why white has full compensation. Maybe this pawn is too weak and my opponent has moves like this, but like, okay, f5. Oh, it's not my move. Yeah, okay, c5 then. Anyway, yeah, I thought that was fine, so I wasn't too scared of d6. And after rook to d1, I played bishop to f5 because I calculated after d6 I could take on e4 here, and the point was that queen takes on c7 doesn't work because queen takes here and bishop to g2, and you're never promoting, and this pawn is actually just a huge weakness. That was the point. This loses somehow. Oh yeah, that's actually obvious. I just missed queen takes b7. Oh, that's a problem. Yeah, queen f6. Oh, bishop e3. Ooh, that is, yeah, that's not good. That's really bad. Bishop f8, I try to defend, but like even takes is probably fine. No, actually it's absolutely not. A4, and I cannot stop anything. That's great. Okay, then what about bishop here? He doesn't even care. Just rook a b1. And he's going to push some pawn. He's going to go like here and rook b3. And he's just going to kill me, I guess. Great. I love chess. Okay, anyway. Whatever. I was wrong. It doesn't matter. I thought that I was cool and smart. But he doesn't play d6. And instead goes queen e2, and I thought I had a really cool and smart idea, and the point was I was going to play bishop to, oh, sorry. Point was I was going to block my opponent with the move bishop to d6. I was thinking about doing it like this, and the point was this, and I get like some play here. Because his pawn is blunted, I get this, this is actually the best line. I'm actually very happy I looked at this at least. I'm not happy I didn't play it, but instead I went with something with a pretty similar idea, and the point was, okay, I was going to play bishop takes e4, my opponent takes, and now I play bishop to d6, but this is worse. This is worse, and I didn't realize that during the game. This is a lot worse because my opponent has some very active play against my king, which I was just unaware of. I didn't think it was too strong, but actually my position is much worse here. And if I didn't do that, if I played bishop to d6 immediately, now the difference is that my queen gets active. This bishop is still here blocking this diagonal, blocking some queen entrances, and I'm able to get like rook c8 ideas. And I should have done this, but it's not the end of the world. Instead, bishop takes e4, and bishop to d6, trying to blunt this pawn and make this bishop weak. And after the move a4, I make two mistakes in a row, kind of. I evaluated here that I shouldn't be afraid of the move a5, because I just didn't think that this was a problem, because I thought my knight already wanted to kind of reroute over to this square, pressure some stuff. I really want to take this bishop, by the way. This is like the main point. Maybe I want my knight over to f6, and I didn't really think to do badly of it. I just played rook to c8, which I just thought makes sense. But actually, I'm completely lost here. I'm not completely lost, but I'm positionally really bad here, because queen to g4, and after, let's say, queen to f6, my opponent has a5, and I has to get stuck on a8, which is just awful. I wasn't looking at this, not at all. Maybe I'm just bad today, but I didn't think much of it. I just didn't really realize the huge problem with queen to g4. Like, I have to go king to f8 here, bishop to f5 comes with tempo. I mean, this looks fine, but this is just, I can't play knight d7 again. I have to play this, right? Or I guess I play knight c8 now and I try to get something here. But yeah, of course, black is worse. Black just has no space. In any case, this was a bad move, but my opponent misses it. Bishop to e3, and now I play knight to d7 after a decent bit of think, because I evaluated that he couldn't take this because of b6. And the point was that after the move queen to a6, I have this move knight c5, hitting the bishop, hitting the queen. If he comes back, I simply can take, and play queen to c7, and I'm winning the bishop no matter what. And I evaluated that his best line here was to play this move a5, a5, where I would just take. And I just thought, okay, well, this is fine. This pawn is a weakness, and I thought maybe I'm slightly better, but I'm not. I'm not. Never slightly better. Never, never, never. In any case, knight d7 was a good move, and my opponent plays rook a to c1, and here I blunder very badly. I just make a huge mistake. I didn't realize my opponent had such a powerful position and such a powerful attack. I just thought there was nothing over here. Like queen g4, I just thought, okay, I defend. I don't really see much of a problem. And I realized, okay, I want to get active. I want to put some pressure. I kind of want to get my queen out. So I kind of had this idea here to put some pressure on some pawns, some pieces. I want to play knight f6, but I didn't like this just yet because I thought my knight was still good over here. Maybe I should have played knight c5 first. I don't know. No, I guess not. I'm just blind and stupid today. Anyway, yeah, I didn't really understand the position, and I made a huge mistake. I played queen to a5, which is the idea, right? I want to go here. I want to go here, put pressure. Maybe I have some play here. I'm going to play knight f6 in the future. I'm going to play knight c5 in the future, maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm going to play bishop c5 in the future. I get some trades because these bishops are a little bit strong. I evaluated like this, and I was going to play queen b6 or something, and then I was going to do something. I don't know. But instead, my opponent like basically wins the game here because of rook to c8. It's over. It's over. Rook takes c8, queen to g4. He's threatening this. He's threatening the knight. I'm dead. I've basically lost. I'm basically losing. But I'm not going to resign. I'm not going to resign this position. Of course not. I am up a minute and a half, and I have active play on the queen side with some issues with this weak pawn. So, okay. Objectively, I know I'm completely lost because my opponent just has a huge attack. He's going to at least win 2 pawns, and then he's going to have a passer on the h-file, right? So I know I'm dead. I know I'm probably dead. I'm also down on space, but I have to do something, and I make a break for it. First move that crosses my mind is, of course, playing queen to c7. Just doing this. But I evaluated this as a little bit worse, and I feel like I could have gotten a little bit more active here, because after bishop takes h6, bishop to f8, I thought, at the very least, my opponent has d6, right? I have to play queen. I have to move a queen again, and I need my queen more active. I have to make counterplay here. If I don't make counterplay, I'm going to lose, right? So I have to make some amount of issues for my opponent to think of, and I wanted my queen active for that. So I'm like, okay, what piece is probably like the worst piece? Is probably like the worst piece that can defend the knight. Also, by the way, the point is that like this just doesn't work because of rook queen takes c8. This is what I missed, by the way, because I thought knight f6 was just winning at first. And anyway, in any case, I realized the rook is probably the worst because the c-file isn't really that useful for me. I want the rook on the c-file, but it's not the end of the world. I can't play a rook to c7 because I thought bishop takes h6, bishop to f8, and d6 was very powerful. I really didn't like this position for me. I'm just being attacked here. Like here, my opponent can take on c7, right? He's making a new queen. I can't allow that. I can't allow a new queen, otherwise I'm going to lose, right? So I play rook to d8. I stay alive, I think, for a minute, and I play rook to d8 because I was genuinely shell-shocked due to what he did. But it's not over. My opponent takes an h6. I go bishop to f8. Of course, this is what I have to play. Bishop to g5, and now I blunder checkmate. I thought that if I didn't do this, I was going to lose because, well, he's attacking my rook. And my knight is also, doing that thing it does, which is being unprotected. I still can't play knight f6 because the pin on my king, right? So I decided after a decent bit of thought, I'm going to play f6. And I didn't really see much of anything here, so I'm going to play f6. I thought, okay, it looks like a mate, but I don't see exactly how he mates me, so I'm going to play f6. And you have to take risks when you're losing like this. This is a little bit rough. I saw this line. I saw actually what happened in the game. I saw queen to e6, king to h8, queen to h3, king to g8, and I thought, okay, my opponent's going to play bishop h7. I don't really see the idea. I'm going to run out my king, and I'm going to be fine. I'm going to play queen to b6. I'm going to start targeting pawns, but I just completely miss that after bishop to h7 check. By the way, this has not happened in the game. Spoiler alert. He has queen to e6, which is mate in 1. I just didn't see that. For some reason, I thought, well, the king's going to take the queen if it goes there. That's not going to happen. In any case, also, by the way, this is easy mating pattern. I saw that, at least. Yeah, but in this position, my opponent did not go for the mate in 3, did not go for the mate in 4, did not go for the mate in 5 that are all able to be played here. My opponent plays the move bishop d2, and I'm alive. I'm alive. Barely. Yes, I'm barely alive, but I am alive, and I am still playing the chess game, and I'm only down a pawn. I'm only down 1 pawn. It doesn't feel like it, of course, because I am completely lost and completely dead here, but, you know, only down 1 pawn. And so I played the move queen b6, because, of course, I'm putting pressure on the pawn, and you never know if I'm able to run my king over up here. This is might be playable. This is my idea, right? What my point is here is I want to get my king up and over. I just want my king up to this square. I'm gonna start targeting these pawns. I saw a position where my opponent's gonna win the b7 pawn. I'm gonna have this very strong h pawn coming down, and yeah, I wasn't too sure who was better there. I assumed it was him because, of course, he has all this cool stuff going for him. But but like with like actual evaluation, like I wasn't positive. Like I didn't know, and that's enough to play on. So my opponent goes for checkmate. He plays bishop to g6, threatening this move. Yeah, of course he's gonna threaten that move. By the way, the only move that the computer gives that's not like mate is queen takes f2. That's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna play that move because I'm not insane. That would just be like admitting failure. And I don't like doing that, so we're not going to do that. Instead, I decided to play bishop to c5. It's now mate in 7. But it's mate in 7 in a little bit of a strange way. It's mate in 7 very difficultly. It's, of course, queen takes h7, queen to h7 here, and yeah, he's going to give this check. And there's a mate here, right? No. What he has to do here, is very weird. He has to play bishop to h6. First of all, that's hard to see. The point is I can't take because of mate in 1. But, like, first of all, this, king g2 and, like, king e7. And now he has to see d6 and king e6 and bishop f5. This is a little bit tricky to see when you're looking at bishop to h6 and losing this pawn. I'm sure he probably wouldn't have found it, like, if he had more time. It's a difficult thing to see. D6 is the hard move, really. D6 is the hard move to play. But in any case, that doesn't happen, and he just decides to win a pawn. And now I'm down 2 pawns, but I have spirit, I have dreams, and I have chess on my side. By the way, that was, if you heard that, that was my chair, like, falling down very fast. I do not know how that happened. Anyway, a little bit scary. Yeah. So here we have a position which is a little bit difficult to play, but my king is safe. His pawn is weak. His pawn is weak. His pawn is weak. His pawn is weak. So we're fine. We're fine. +4, but it's more equal than anything. It's not. It's totally not. Yeah. In any case, my opponent plays bishop to e1, which makes sense. He's defending his f pawn. He got a little bit scared of that. I thought queen f7 was pretty strong here, and after bishop takes f2, king g2, we had to play like king to c7 and like run my king away because he's threatening some stuff over here. He kind of wants a queen trade because this pawn is very strong at the end of the day. Doesn't matter. He doesn't do it. He goes bishop to d1, so I take the pawn on b3 after some thought. Taking the pawn on b3, by the way, is a little scary as well because of the move rook to b1, and it looks like he's kind of getting on the 7th rank and trying to like scare me and stuff. But I realized that, okay, after queen takes b3, here I can take this pawn. My opponent does not have enough play to really like get me there. I thought maybe this move, but at the end of the line, I'm always going to have this. The point is, of course, he's trying to pin my queen to my king, but at the point in the line, I always have bishop to d5, so I'm okay. So I play queen takes b3. My opponent, instead of playing rook to b1, which is the move that I thought he was going to play, plays rook to c1, and I did not understand this move. I didn't understand this move at all. I guess at the end of the day, the point was that he's trying to cut my king off from the c file and make sure that my king is more mateable. If that's a word, probably is not a word. But looking at the position again, right, I'm just going to win my other pawn, and now I'm going to have rook b8 ideas, and a queen trade is always good for me because these pawns over here aren't actually that bad, and I just need to stop one pawn. Right, so I wasn't too sure about this decision of rook c1. I guess it's smart, but with 1:48 on the clock, I'm still up 30 seconds. I was actually having hope. I had hope here that I was able to save the game, and I have. It was mate in 3, I guess, at the maximum there for a second there, and so now it's only +3. So I've actually done a pretty good job here, and it's materially equal, which is always nice. And my opponent makes another mistake. He plays bishop to h5, again, with this idea of rook to d1 that I touched on earlier. Is that rook to e1? No, rook to d1. What am I talking about? Come on. Know your piece notation. Anyway, rook to e1, this idea that I talked on earlier. But I realized here that I always have, like, pretty interesting ways to, like, stop that. Like, I always have this at the very least. But I thought here that I could even like have an idea of like e4 at some point, like opening stuff up over here, and there could be some cool things going on. In any case, that doesn't happen. I just played a better move, and I played rook to g8 pretty quickly because I'm hitting the queen, and I'm looking for interesting sacrifices. Like, my main point now is that I kind of want to get something going on the king, and I want like some sort of draw. If I can get a draw, I'll be happy, right? Because I mean, I'm lost. It's obvious, right? I'm losing this game, and I don't enjoy losing. So, yeah. In any case, my opponent plays queen to h6 after a move that I thought was really bad because queen to h7 keeps eyes on the rook and makes my queen a little bit unsteady. I have no idea why he played queen to h6, in all honesty. I guess maybe he wants to bring the queen back, but again, a queen trade is always good for me in this position, so I was not worried about that. And I decided after some thought, I want some type of like issues here. I want him to really like think about like his king, and I have some pieces pointing down there. Let's get more pieces pointing down there. We're going to move queen to b3. And the point is that now there's kind of an idea to play rook takes on b6. There's kind of an idea. Because takes, you cannot take with this. This is due to the pawn being hanging. And I thought maybe, just maybe, there would be some sort of draw there. Unfortunately, there is not. I calculated it properly. The point is, yes, if my opponent would go here, this would be a draw. But my opponent can go here, and you might think, I thought this earlier at first, that queen e6, bishop here, and then there would be a draw. Even if that didn't happen, yeah, that wouldn't work. But I just thought at the very least my opponent has king to g2, and now the pawn is no longer pinned, and I cannot go back to this square. I don't know if you guys followed all that, but the point is, basically this, that's a check, sorry. This, I don't have this because this, check here. And now I don't have this, right? That's basically the point. In any case, that didn't happen. And after queen to b3, I'm just trying to make problems, and he plays queen to h7. Sorry. He plays queen to h7 now. Reasonable move. Should have played it on the last move, but whatever. We do not care. He can do whatever he likes. I decided to play rook back to d8 to defend my knight because I saw a future where he could have some pressure on this knight, and I wanted to be defended in some future lines. I also kind of want to take this pawn pretty soon. He plays bishop to g4. I take on a4. Defending my knight and also attacking the bishop. Queen to d3 is the move chosen. Probably what I should have done was like king to e7. But then there's like queen to f5 ideas, and like this is a little bit scary going for something like this. Because, well, I'm like hanging on by knives through edge, right? Like rook b1 is a problem. And remember, this is all like with like 50 seconds on the clock. Like I have to play fast. I decided to play bishop to d4. I should have played queen to d4. Again, he cannot take this. because actually this is better for black at this point. I'm up a pawn now, which is kind of insane how I'm like even up material, but it's still +2, and the evaluation has not changed in like, what is it, like 10 moves or something at this point, which is actually very nice. I've been fighting back very, very well in this game. I decide to play bishop to d4. He plays queen to f5, and I play the move rook to e8, stopping this move queen to e6 from happening because I have to. If I don't do this, I'm just going to get mated. Literally, that's mate threat 1 due to the rook stopping the file, so I have to do something. In any case, rook to e8. I'm still defending the knight with the queen. My opponent goes queen to h7, and it is equal. It's equality. I have equality now. But for some reason I miss it. I see this move and exactly after I play the move rook to e7 in 1 second. Bishop f2 just wins a pawn. Bishop f2 is fine. And I'm fine here. The point is, after bishop takes f2 here, you might think he has ideas, but he doesn't. He doesn't have ideas. There's no ideas here. My opponent actually is the one that has to like force a draw. Otherwise, he's going to be almost lost. Actually, he's very, very close to being losing. His only like safe haven is this pawn, and if he didn't have that, like this game would actually just be over. Like if that pawn traded off for like, I don't know, this pawn, right? This game would be over. Black would just be winning at this point, which would be nice. I like winning. But instead I just miss it, and I play rook to e7, and yeah, now I blunder again. Queen back to f5. I decide after a think that I'm not able to find a move, and I play the move b6. Don't know why I played this. Maybe I should have played a5. This move looks better to me now because there's idea of here and here, so maybe I should have played a5. In any case, b6 on the board. I don't really have enough time to really think of a good move. My opponent plays bishop to d2, which is very smart. Getting the bishop out of the way. He's just developing another piece. With 13 seconds on the clock, this position is very, very difficult to play. Really, I huge trust my opponent for playing this accurately at this point, because this is very difficult. This is very, very difficult at this point. In any case, I played king to d5 after some thought, because I really don't know what else to do. I think I'm just losing. And my opponent plays bishop to f3, and king to d5 was a huge mistake. I should have played bishop to c5. The point is that I'm blocking off the rook and I'm able to run with my king, and I don't know why I didn't do this. Probably something low on time. In any case, king to d5 played, and yeah, bishop to f3, king back to d6, and he's able to win the queen. Rook to c6 is I have to sack my queen. He goes king to g2 first. There's really nothing I can do, so I play a5. My opponent goes rook c6, queen c6, bishop c6, king takes c6, and my opponent has 10 seconds on the clock versus 27. But he's up a queen, and somehow, I don't know, this is very, very complicated. Queen to c2, I go king to d6, another mistake on the board. Queen to a4, knight c5, queen b5, king to c7, defending my pawn here. I need to like promote something. I'm trying to do something. Maybe I have some idea like this. I can stop this pawn, this h pawn, which has really been the only problem in the position for me this entire time. I don't know. It's very, very scary. My opponent goes with the move bishop to e3 and blunders. And now I'm back to equal. The only way for my opponent to win is pushing the h-pawn immediately, because that means I have to be a little bit more passive. I have to play moves like f5 in order to like make counterplay at all here. But instead, bishop to e3, bishop takes e3, pawn takes e3, and rook to d7. I'm trying to make problems because I see my opponent has 6 seconds on the clock. It's very hard to play with 6 seconds on the clock. You're pre-moving a lot. There's many tricks your opponents can do. He goes h4. I go rook d1 because I mouse slipped. I meant to play rook to d2, but I could not for the life of me play the move. In any case, rook d1. My opponent goes king f3. Probably pre-moved it. Well, nearly pre-moved it. Played in 0.2 seconds because he thought I was going to go with that check. In any case, rook to d2 now. My opponent goes h5. I go rook to c2. I don't even know why I played this move. I'm just playing moves, and h6, and I'm back in business, and I'm able to actually get a slightly better position here. With engine is actually just kind of mean. It just says it's equal, but rook h2 is able to win the pawn. But since I'm playing too fast, I do not see that, and I play rook to c3, and the game is over. h7, and he's queening. And yeah, that's not good. I go rook to b3, attacking the queen. My opponent goes queen to e2. I decide to kind of try to swindle him. What I should have done, I should have given this check. I don't know why I didn't. I was playing too fast. I tried to swindle him. I played rook to b2. You know, if he makes a queen, I take his queen. He probably still can make a queen because I'm just going to be losing in the end. But with 3 seconds on the clock, it's very difficult. My opponent takes because he saw it. It took him a second, though. a4. I go a3, trying to hit his queen, trying to make sure maybe I can get something going. He takes on a3. Unfortunate. I go b5. I don't know why I play this move. It doesn't really matter at this point. I should have played knight d7, but or in any case b5. And my opponent is able to get a mating win here. Very unfortunate here. My opponent's able to get a mating win. He has 2 queens towarding my king. It's very easy here. He can just ladder mate me like this and this, for example, or this and this. It's very easy here. Unfortunately, king to a8. I'm lost. It's easy. My opponent takes here. King to b7. Opponent gives me this check. King to a6, mate in 1 on the board, and my opponent plays queen cg5, and he runs out of time. And it's not even insufficient material. I just win the game because I have 1 pawn left. I have 1 pawn. 1 pawn wins me the game. In any case, yes, the game was bad. The game was not the highest quality of chess ever, but I'm glad that I was able to get it from where mate in 3 here to a decent advantage. I actually had an advantage in that endgame for 1 move. For 1 move, I had an advantage in that endgame, and it just goes to show, like, you shouldn't resign. Like, even at like master level, people blunder all the time. People are stupid. People are very bad at chess. And yeah. In any case, that's all I've got for you today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys found this entertaining, instructive, all of the above. If you did, remember to like, subscribe, do all the videos show you do. And yeah, that's it. Good evening and good night.